Hey guys, it's Izzy and welcome to my channel and my new setup. This is where I will be doing my sit-down videos and future reading vlogs and all of that, so I'm really excited about that and I hope you are too. But anyways, today I will be talking about a major injury I had my freshman year in college and how I ended up in the hospital because of it. And I will be talking about the recovery process of that, how I recovered, what I had to do to recover and get better, and then also a 1-year update, what it has been like a year after all of this happened. So I guess I'm just gonna jump right into it. So my entire life, I was a multi-sport athlete. I did so many sports. I did soccer for 12 years. I tried cheerleading for a year. I was a football kicker on an all-guys team for 2 years, my junior and senior year in high school. I did flag football, basketball, lacrosse, cross country, track and field. I've done a lot of sports my entire life, and I also danced for 10 years. So my body was used to just being very active. So once I got to college, my freshman year, I was recruited to compete in the heptathlon. So not every athlete does a heptathlon. It's only a select few athletes who are able to do 7 different events, which consists of running, jumping, and then also throwing events. It is a lot on your body. So it was me and then 2 other girls who were training for the heptathlon. In 2021, the first few weeks of practice for track and field, I was not able to fully practice because I was still recovering from an injury that I got from being in the Legoland Elemental Masters Ninja Stunt Show in the summer of 2021. I did that all summer. There's a video on my channel here that just shows my experience with that. And from that, I got patellar tendonitis in my left knee. Because of that, I had to wear a knee brace. I was in crutches, and it wasn't that big of a deal. I was gonna be fine after like a few weeks of just resting, taking care of it, and just going to physical therapy at my college. It was great. So then on October 6th, I got cleared by my doctor to just go into track and field and start training like everyone else is on my team. So the day after I get cleared, I have my first practice of not being in a knee brace and be able to do everything full out, which I was so excited about. So the first practice, we're doing our warm-ups, and there's a lot to the warm-ups. There's a lot of running back and forth, there's a lot of jumping, and just a lot of things on your legs. So my calves started to hurt a little bit and they felt a little bit tight. And I was like, okay, this has happened before. My body just has to get used to training like an athlete. Roughly like 2 to 3 weeks, I had calf pain, and then also I had pain on like the arches of my feet as well from just all the constant jumping and the running and all that, because it can be a lot on your legs, especially if you were not really exercising that much because of an injury, and then you go right into fully working out like a collegiate athlete. And it's just like that in general, even with high school sports. And then after those few weeks of me stretching out my legs, doing all the workouts and everything with my track and field team, then the pain subsided all of a sudden, and I was like, okay, good, my body's getting used to training at such a high intensity level. And I was like, okay, that's good. And like, I wasn't really having pain anymore. I kept rolling out my feet and my calves and all of that, and making sure that I was doing everything I can so that I wouldn't be in as much pain anymore, and that I would progressively get better, and I could just continue with my track and field season in college, just normal, injury-free, all of that. So my pain subsided, and pain was like basically all gone for like 2 to 3 weeks. And then all of a sudden, the pain came back, and it was way worse. Like, oh my gosh, I never felt a pain like this in my legs or feet ever. Like, it was horrible. And the pain was about a 6 or a 7 whenever my calf and like arches of my feet pain came back. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna continue stretching out, I'm gonna continue doing all the workouts, training for the heptathlon, doing all of that. And when you're a heptathlete, you're training for 7 events, so it's just a lot more working out than what the other people on the track and field team do. So me and the 2 girls who were training for the heptathlon were just doing a lot more work. We were in the weight room, there was a weightlifting coach, and me and the 2 other girls were doing slightly different workouts than what our other teammates were doing, because they were not training for 7 events. They were only training from like 1 to 2 events. And then the head track and field coach of like everything, he was out there helping me and the girls train with the 7 events. There's 2 different coaches who were over like everyone. There's a weight room coach, and then there's also just the head coach who is in charge of the field events and in the running events. But anyways, so for the next like 1 to 2 weeks, the pain just started getting worse and worse and worse. I was telling my coach, hey, I'm in a lot of pain. Like I was on the verge of tears multiple times because of how excruciating my pain was. My coach wasn't forcing me to do anything. He was like, okay, take a break when you need to take a break, but I just want to keep up with all the training. So now we're the day before Thanksgiving break. It's Tuesday, November 23rd, 2021. And it was the last practice before we go on break, and coach had us do 100 yards 8 times. And then after we get that done, then we get to go home. And then that's what we had to do. And that was our last practice before break. So I don't even know. My pain was at an 8.5 or a 9. It was terrible. Like I could barely move my legs, and we had to sprint each 100, and we would sprint down the entire football field, and then we would have like 30 seconds to a minute to take a break, and then we would have to run back, and then we would get this. Then I think we would get like 2 minutes to break before we had to go up again, and just keep doing that until we did it 8 times. So down was 1, back was 2, and we had to do that 8 times. So I could barely move my legs. I even had one of my teammates feel my calves because they were so swollen and like really, really hard. And I don't know, I just felt like I was not moving at all when I was sprinting, and I was using all of my energy and everything that I got to sprint, but it was slowing me down, and I just barely could move my legs. It was really, really bad, and the pain was all over my calves, all over my shins, and it was all over my feet. From under my knee down was just an excruciating pain. So I told my coach about it, and I could barely walk. Like it was really, really bad. Like it just hurt to just move, just stand, just all of that. So I go to the athletic training room for track and field. At my college, there's 2 different athletic training rooms. So I go to the one for the track and field. They were closed, so I go to the other one. Thankfully, there was someone who was there. There was an athletic trainer there who can help me. So he tells me that this is definitely chronic because it's lasted 8 or more weeks, and the pain is progressively getting worse, which is not a good sign. So chronic means that you're gonna have it for like the rest of your life. So he has me do a few exercises. He feels my calves and all that. He was like, okay, take it easy during break, go to the track and field athletic trainer after break, and then just tell her everything. So after Thanksgiving break, I do exactly what the athletic trainer said. I go to the track and field athletic trainer. I just talk through everything with her, and like everything that's led up to like this point. And she was like, okay, you need to come every day for physical therapy, and this week you're gonna take off from track and field. I was like, okay. So I go to physical therapy every day at my college after classes, and I don't go to track and field. The following week she reevaluates. It's the same thing, but the pain is getting worse, and the pain is starting to move up my legs. So it's like that for about 2 weeks, where I'm not going to track and field. I'm not doing anything that is gonna hurt my legs. I'm taking it easy. I'm going to physical therapy every day, and the pain is getting worse, which doesn't make sense. With rest and with physical therapy, like with any injury, you should be getting better. It was the complete opposite for that. So my pain was getting worse and worse and worse. And my athletic trainer saw this, and we were just working on like my legs, because I was only having pain in my legs and my feet, and that's it. And she's like, okay, if your pain ever gets to a 10, you need to go to the hospital, because my pain at this point was about a 9. So my pain keeps getting worse and worse. I can't really walk. I can't stand. My legs keep giving out. I've fallen a few times just in my house, just in the kitchen, to get myself food. It was not good at all. So then during a Wednesday night church service on December 8th, 2021, I was in a lot of pain. Driving absolutely sucked. It was horrible to drive. So much pain. I felt like I was barely pushing the pedal. It was really difficult to drive. So me and my sister went to church. I dropped her off at her kids program. I went to the adult service. I went to service. I had elevated my legs like up on the pews in front of me just to try to help and alleviate the pain. It was still really painful, and the pain was like all the way up to my hips and all the way down to my feet. It was really, really bad. And like I felt like I was gonna cry at any moment. So my pain was getting worse. I was about a 9.5 now, which is not good, because if I get to a 10, my athletic trainer said I need to go to the hospital. And I did not want to go to the hospital. No one wants to go to the hospital. But anyways, after church service, it takes me such a long time to just walk from the sanctuary all the way to get my sister. And then after I get my sister, we're walking through the church lobby, and we're passing the discipleship pastor and his wife, and she turns to me and she's like, oh my gosh, Izzy, you don't look so good. Are you okay? And then I briefly explain what's going on. She's like, oh my gosh, you want me to drive your car and I could take you and your sister home? And I was like, yes, please. I did not hesitate at all. So she got the driver's seat. I let her drive my car. Her husband, the discipleship pastor at the church, he followed behind. She brought me home. I thanked her, and then her and her husband left. I went inside and I immediately called my mom, and I was like, Mom, I need to go to the hospital, because I could tell that this was not getting better, and it was a little bit scary, like what was happening, because nothing like this has ever happened. I've been an athlete my whole life. I've done multiple sports at the same time my whole life, like basically year round, and nothing like this has ever happened. I've been injured so many times because of my sports, and I was able to recover from them fine. I was used to getting injured and all that, and also future career is going to be athletic training, which is helping with injuries on the sidelines at sporting events, and athletic trainers are there to tend to the injury, and then if it's bad enough, then the athletic trainer is there until the paramedics get there and then takes that athlete to the hospital. So athletic trainers have an important job, and I was used to tending to injuries when I was shadowing my athletic trainer in high school and all that, so injuries didn't bother me that much. It was like, okay, it's an injury. I know how to deal with injuries. I know how to help injuries and all that, and I was just used to being injured myself. So I was like just confused on why all of this was happening and why I wasn't getting better. And I was like, I need to go to the hospital. So my mom and I drive to a local hospital. It's a smaller hospital, not one of the major ones. And we were in the lobby for such a long time. I think like 2 to 3 hours, maybe even 4 hours in the lobby before they take me back. Even though it was an excruciating pain and all of that, they were like, you have to wait in the lobby until we have some room. So finally, after all those hours, my mom and I, we get taken back. They do blood work on me, and it was the first time I ever got an IV. I'm not scared of needles or any of that, but it was my first time ever getting an IV, getting blood drawn like from right here. And I got an ultrasound of my legs, just all kinds of things. They were feeling around, and when the doctor came back, he said that I was being overtrained. I need to go to orthopedic doctor, sports medicine doctor that knows, that has the equipment and the tools and all that to help, like, to figure out what's going on. So luckily for me, my athletic trainer at my college made an appointment for me. So this was all on Wednesday night. We were at the hospital till like 3:30, 3:45. We get home around 4 a.m. and then we fall asleep. The next day, I don't go to class because I can barely walk. I can't drive. My mom and I didn't get home till 4 a.m. So it was just not going to work out. But I emailed my professors that day for those classes that I had, and they understood. So then on Thursday, I'm just resting at home. And then on Friday, December 10th, then I had my appointment with the orthopedic doctor in the afternoon. So we get to the appointment. I had to fill out all this paperwork. My mom's with me. I get taken back. My mom goes into the room that they have for me, and then I go to get an x-ray. But because there was no exact location where the pain was like stemming from, the nurse said that she can't just like shoot me with x-rays all over my legs because I was so young. I was only 18 years old. So anyways, then I go into the room, the doctor comes in, and I'm just explaining everything to her, just what's led up to like this point, like what's led up to this point where I could barely walk and I have excruciating pain all over my legs, shooting pains, tingling, just everything all over my legs. And you can see that video, I'll link it down below, of my doctor's appointment. But anyways, she tells my mom and I that she thinks it's a back issue. And we're like, wait, what? Like, I'm not, like, I wasn't even having any back pain. I was just having leg pain. She was like, yeah, it's most likely a back issue. So she comes, she turns me, I start having shooting pain up my back. At that moment, she turned me. She turns me the other way, I start having more shooting pain up my back. And my back felt like concrete. It was horrible. So my legs were hurting, my back was hurting. It was really bad. So then after that, we didn't show this on camera, but I got an x-ray of my back. And after she got the x-ray, and she was gone for a long time studying the x-ray and just working through things, she comes back, she's like, you need to go to one of the major hospitals. You need to go to Orlando or you need to go to Tampa. So my mom and I immediately get in the car, we get home, we pack our bags, and we drive to Orlando Hospital. And my dad and my siblings follow behind us. It took us 2 hours to get there, even though it shouldn't, because I-4 traffic is absolutely terrible. It's a major highway in the middle of Florida. But anyways, we finally get to the hospital. I get there, and only my mom is allowed to go back with me because we all had to wear masks because of COVID restrictions and all of that. So only one person was allowed with me. So my brother, my dad, and my sister waited in in a separate car. So my mom went to a room in the ER. I went back to this like exam room where they were asking me all the questions, just working through everything, trying to get all the information that they need. And then they took me back to the ER room and I changed it to a gown. My mom and I were in that ER room for 24 hours. I had to get a lot of blood work done, so that means another IV. I got CT scans, MRIs, just all kinds of different tests, within like the first like few hours of being there. And we were in the ER room where it's just the curtain and there's people getting rushed in and out constantly. And we were right near the door where the paramedics bring people in. So there were people screaming really loud and freaking out. My mom, she was a little bit scared because there was a lot of screaming and it was very chaotic in there. But it didn't really bother me because I'm getting into the medical field and all of that. So it's like, okay, people are injured. It's the hospital, it's the ER, it's the emergency room. It is what it is. But yeah, after 24 hours of being in there, then I was admitted into the hospital officially. They moved me to another building on the second floor, and then we were in that room for 24 hours. During that 24 hours, I got more tests done. I had to lay down in the MRI machine, flat on my back, and the pain in my back was really, really bad. So I had to lay in the MRI machine for 3 to 3.5 hours and it sucked. My shoulder fell out of socket. I couldn't pop it back in because I had an IV here, and there's a certain way that my high school athletic trainer showed me how to pop my shoulder back into place. And you have to bend your arm for that, and I couldn't do that because I had IV. So that was really bad, and it was a lot going on. And during all of this, I think it was like every 12 hours, they kept putting like painkillers and muscle relaxers and all that. And luckily, the pain was subsiding, and my legs were not as swollen or as hard as they were before, but I still had back pain, and I had a little bit of shooting pain down my left side, from my lower back all the way down the back of my leg. I was like looking at these symptoms like, oh my gosh, it might be a sciatic issue. So anyways, I had a physical therapist as well. He was like feeling everything. He was like, yeah, it's definitely a sciatic issue. And during that Saturday, I was able to start walking again, but I had a walker. I never used a walker before, but I had one. I also looked like a hot mess. My hair was messed up. I looked probably the worst I ever did. My previous video before this is my hospital experience as well. But yeah, so you can see all of that, and yeah, it was just being in the hospital, that was insane. But yeah, another test that the nurses were trying to convince me to get was a transvaginal exam, and I was not gonna get that. They were talking me through it. They were like, we just see some fluid in your reproductive area. They was like, but it's not a big deal. If you don't want to get it, it's fine. They were like, it's completely up to you. Whenever she was saying all this, I was like, no, I don't want to get this at all. No way. There's no way I want to get this. So I declined getting it. This whole thing, my mom was there. She filmed some things, and I'm really thankful that she was there, because if I had to be there alone, oh my gosh, I was only 18, there would have been a lot more pressure if she wasn't there. So on the last day of being there, Sunday, December 12th, I decided to just get my IV taken out, so then I don't have to keep dealing with the pain I was getting from here. And then also I didn't need I just didn't want any more pain medication going in me, because the pain medication wasn't really working. The muscle relaxers were working, but I just didn't want to keep doing that to my body. So right before my mom and I were discharged from the hospital, the doctor came in and he gave me a piece of paper saying that I was no longer allowed to participate in collegiate sports, and I couldn't do any more intense working out. So I was medically terminated from training with my track and field team and competing for them. So I had to retire early from college track and field due to being overtrained. I heard this news. I kind of saw it coming because of just everything that was going on. The doctors couldn't immediately find what was going on, and it took the doctors almost the full 2 days to figure out what was going on with me and why all of this was happening. And they diagnosed me with Piriformis Syndrome, and I have the chronic form of Piriformis Syndrome. And Piriformis Syndrome is basically the piriformis muscle, which is the side of your butt, and it's right by your sciatic nerve, that's from that goes down your back into your legs. And when that muscle is weak, it can mess with the sciatic nerve, putting pressure on it and squishing it, and that is what causes back pain. And it can cause your legs to just give out and not work anymore, and cause you to head towards paralysis. And that is exactly what was happening to me. I never heard of Piriformis Syndrome, so I definitely looked into it as soon as I was told what my diagnosis was, and I was like, oh my gosh, this piriformis syndrome is a major thing, and it absolutely sucks. It is terrible. So then after the doctor said what my diagnosis was, and he gave me the paperwork to give to my college so that I can get an excuse absence for all of my classes that I had missed, and also the classes I will be missing that next week. And I had finals, so I had to do all my finals online. I had to arrange things with my professors to be able to do it online and all of that. But yeah, it was a crazy experience. And then after my mom and I were discharged from the hospital at around 6 p.m. on Sunday, December 12th, and we were so excited to not have to be in the hospital anymore and to sleep in our beds and shower in our own showers and see our doggies and our family and all of that. So the week after I got discharged from the hospital and I had my finals, it was Christmas break. And Christmas break was great. I was still in pain. I was still resting and doing everything I was supposed to do, and was told by the doctors and my physical therapist at the hospital that in January I was told that I need to go to a physical therapy place and do physical therapy. So for 4 months, every week, once a week, I had physical therapy. So from January to May, I had physical therapy with my physical therapist, and he helped me so much, because before I was in so much pain, and I was not able to walk that well, and my back was like hurting all the time. And then by the end of physical therapy, I was able to walk normal with no pain in my legs, and my physical therapist was able to get my back pain like under control and not have it where it's hurting constantly. That's what I had to do. I had to do physical therapy for 4 months every week from January to May. And then since then, now it's a year later after I was in the hospital, and now I'm gonna tell you what my life is like. So I don't have back pain all the time, which is amazing. When I'm in the car, I have a back cushion right here to keep me like kind of arched like this, like this, because if I just sit like this in the car with how the seat is like shaped, then my back will start hurting. I can't stand for long periods of time because holding myself up, if I'm like upright like this in one spot, my back's gonna start hurting. I'm able to walk all day without any pain. I have to crack my back a lot throughout the day to just alleviate some pain and some tension. I don't do intense workouts, so then I don't aggravate my piriformis muscle. I'm not able to speed walk without my legs having shooting pain. I can't run. I'm not able to run. I can't jog. I can't do any of that without having excruciating pain in my legs. And I learned that a few months ago, and I was scared that I was gonna have to go to the hospital again, because I ran for a little bit at my job because I was trying not to be late, and there was traffic and all that, so I ran a little bit, and I started having that same shooting pain, tingling, and back pain, and just all of that I was having in December of 2021. And it scared me a little bit. And throughout the whole injury and hospital and recovery just experience and everything I had to go through, I just put my trust in God. And my family did as well, even though we didn't know why any of it was happening and what was going on at the time and just all of that. God had a plan and purpose and a reason why everything happened, and why my family and I had to go through all of that. And I'm really glad that we just trusted God through everything, and we didn't blame God for what was happening or any of that. Because it was all happening for a reason, and we didn't know why, and that's completely okay. Also, because of my injury and being medically terminated from competing in track and field and practicing with my track and field team, a lot of opportunities have opened up. I've been able to take extra classes so that I can graduate a year early, and then also I've had the opportunity to be the head girls weightlifting coach for the same high school that I did sports for, and it's the same team that I competed for when I was in high school, and absolutely love being the coach for the team. And my mom is the assistant coach. She's alongside me. She's there for every practice. She's there for all the weightlifting meets, and I love it. I absolutely love coaching, and I love having her by my side. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for the next video because I think you guys are really gonna like it. And I hope you have a great day. Bye guys.